Greetings, viewer, it is I, Hilariously Scary, and today I'll be doing kind of a more ranty, rambly video, so if you don't like that kind of video, like non-scripted, probably not very much edited because I forgot to record this audio until today, so, if you don't like that sort of thing, then you can go watch my other videos, but if you're cool with that, then, join me as I ramble about trying to write the perfect story. And what I mean by that is, like, this divide in a writer's mind between perfection and completion, which is something that I've definitely come across in my own writings, and I really don't hear a lot of people talk about this, which is, maybe I'm just not looking in the right places though. Some of you know, but probably most of you don't know because I don't think I talk about it much on this channel. I'm actually trying to write a book, the keyword there being trying, because I feel like all my life I've kind of wanted to be a writer. I know when I was a little girl, I really wanted to be a writer, and then somewhere along the line I kind of lost that dream, and then I've kind of regained it. Now I want to be, like, for those of you who probably have been following my channel, you know I really want to be a storyboard artist, but I had this idea to take this part of my story, because I have this long overarching story that you see me drawing a lot of characters from, and write that part and turn it into a book, because it's kind of the perfect story to turn into a book, because unlike all my other stories, all the characters in there, they're just for that story. They're specifically for this, what's the word, I'm trying to think, I can't remember, like, it's kind of encapsulated it's like this pocket universe where all these characters exist. It literally is a pocket universe, spoilers. But anyway, so I'm trying to write this book, and I've grown up learning about how to write books and watching videos and reading articles, and, like, I know all these things about book writing, so I thought it'd be really easy to just sit down and write the stupid book. But then I go to sit down and write it, and I'm just overcome with this anxiety, because it's like, I have no idea what I'm doing, and, cause, like, the thing is, I know about how to write stories that have have meanings behind them that, like, work into the overarching storyline. Like, you can have a character do this thing, like for instance, if you have a character that you want to, like, show don't tell, you have a character that you want to show that they hate everything, so maybe you take them to an ice cream shop and they don't like every flavor there, and the other characters are, like, just like, oh, that's typical for this character. That way you show that he hates everything without saying, this is a character that hates everything. And, like, maybe in the end the secret solution has to do with an ice cream shop, and it all works in together in a nice little bow, like a Pixar movie or something, because those have ridiculously tight writing. And I realized that, like, I'm trying to write the perfect story. I know that there is a perfect story out there where all the events are perfectly laid out to foreshadow each other without giving away the plot. Because there's a ridiculous big twist at the end that's just completely unwarranted, and any normal writer would be like, this is a dumb idea, scrap it. But the thing is, the ridiculous twist at the end is the entire story. Like, that's the part that ties in with the rest of my story, so it's like the only part that has to be here. So hypothetically, there should be a way for me to work the rest of the story around this giant twist, so the twist still feels, like, refreshing and, like, innovative, but without feeling, like, completely out of place or completely expected. Like, I want the reader to go into the twist feeling like, oh, wow, I didn't see this coming, but looking back, I really should have. Which is the ideal plot twist, but it's so hard to achieve, especially because, like, I'm only 18, and I realize that, like, I'm watching these other videos of mine, and I'm like, oh, here's how to make an OC, here's how to do this, here's how to do this, and I'm like, girl, you don't know what you're talking about, why are you trying to tell other people what to do? Because I feel like I do these things a lot, so I was like, oh, these are just the way I do it, but it very much comes off as, I know what I'm talking about, and I'm gonna show you how to do it, when really, I don't know what I'm talking about. Probably in 10 years from now, I'm gonna be like, look at this stupid idiot who's, like, thinks that she knows how to write characters, ha ha ha. I've been through 4 years of schooling, and I've been through 6 more years of working in the field, so I really know what I'm talking about. And then 10 years after that, I'm gonna be like, ha ha ha, I didn't know anything about character writing from then. Because, and that should be an encouragement, because it means that you're always improving, and I think that you are always improving, so I shouldn't, and I don't know where I got on this tirade, but basically you shouldn't listen to anything I say, because in 10 years I'll be able to say something even more smart about the topic, and 20 years from then, I'll be able to talk about it even better, but you know what? You only get 18-year-olds here for now. Unless you're watching in the future. In that case, hello, robot overlords. But yeah, so, I realized that I can either sit down and just write and get something done, or I can try to spend all my time trying to get it perfect and try to write the perfect story. So it's this divide between perfection versus completion. And I discovered this when I was very little, because I had this thing when I was little, where I was like, man, I say little, but I mean like 14, where I was like, I realized that my best work comes from when I'm motivated, but I still needed to get things done, so I was really like, should I wait until I'm motivated to work? Or should I just try to, like, schedule time every day to work on things? Because if I schedule time to work on things, I'm gonna get burnt out eventually, but if I can still push through that, I may not create something amazing, but I'll still get it done. Whereas if I work when I'm motivated, I probably won't get as much done, but it'll probably be a lot better than if I just try to push through it and continue creating anyways. So, like, it's like there should be, like, a chart somewhere that it's, like, motivation versus progression and perfection versus completion. And I had to point to this. Hold on, let me try to remember what that was. I mean, in the end, I would normally go with progression, since I needed to get these things done, and I feel like I improve better that way, because I know a lot of people that are, like, these really talented artists. They're, like, 14, and they can draw better than most 21-year-olds, but they can only work when they're motivated, and whenever they aren't motivated, they hate everything they draw, and they just tear it out of their sketchbook, and I'm going, no! Why would you do that? You're so talented! If I had your talent whenever I was your age, well, if I had their talent whenever I was their age, maybe I would fall in the same trap where I would only be able to work when I'm motivated. Whereas I feel like, for those of you that know Holly Brown, I really respect all of her work, not because it's technically good, no, that sounds bad, not because it's like she gets the anatomy perfect every time and everything she does has like this beautiful composition like some people, but she can still, despite all of her flaws and how much she doesn't like her art sometimes, she can always push through it and continue drawing. I really admire her because, like, she's constantly drawing. She's constantly able to fill up sketchbooks and do videos and work on comics, and I'm like, I can barely do one digital piece a week, and here she is, like, just knocking it out of the park with all of her amazing just stamina and stuff. Like, she doesn't need to be and she's constantly trying to improve and stuff, but it just blows my mind how much she's willing to put in the effort. Because I feel like if you don't have that natural skill that some people do, us untalented people have to put in the extra effort in order to make something. So I feel like in that divide between completion versus perfection and progression versus motivation, I normally fall on the completion and progression side. But that's only for my art. See, I did this really stupid thing whenever I was a kid where I let people's words get to me. So, like, I can think of at least 2 events in my life that really discouraged me from continuing writing. And for a while there, like, from when I was about, like, 15 to whenever I was 17 or so, I just didn't write. Because I thought I was terrible at it. And I thought that I would never be able to write anything. I thought I was just awful at writing. And I picked up writing again when I was about 17. And I was like, you know, I'm not half bad, which sounds really narcissistic to say. But I wasn't as terrible as people had made me feel like I was. And I'm not trying to, like, pity people. I'm just trying to use this as an example. But because the thing is, I feel like I've practiced art a lot more, so I'm able to do a lot more with my art than I am with my writing. And maybe it's my fault for picking such an ambitious story as a first story, but, like, I feel like I need to just be able to push through this boundary in my mind that says you have to be perfect. It has to be perfect. Because I feel like all my life I've been learning about how to write the perfect story, and now I'm trying to actually do it. But the thing is, the key part that all these critics and like these writers that are, like, writing about how to write, the thing that they're missing is it's okay to not write the perfect story. You don't have to make perfect things in order to be valid as a artist or a writer. You don't have to, like, you don't, and not everything you do has to be perfect. In fact, it shouldn't be perfect. Your first try shouldn't be perfect because it's your first try and nobody's gonna fault you for that. But I'm so scared of publishing a book because I'm so scared that people will look at this piece of garbage because I'm 18 and of course I can't write a perfect story. Nobody's perfect. Full-grown adults can't write a perfect story. So I don't know why I have it in my mind that I have to make this story perfect. I don't even want it to be a bestseller. In fact, I think it would be bad if it was a bestseller because this is supposed to be years later when this character finally comes back. People will be like, oh my gosh, she wrote a book about it, like when she was 18, and it all comes together, and oh my goodness, look at this cool story that I created over time because I'm not perfect and I can't do everything at once, so I'm gonna spread it out over a long period of time, periodical of time. That feeling when you're on a rant and you decide to make a meme. I don't know where I was going with this, but basically, maybe I'm just frustrated at people for criticizing art, because, you know, I made that whole video about, like, Mary Sue's Aren't Bad, which was another rambly video, which really should have been scripted, but it's just this idea of, like, kids shouldn't be criticized for creating things, because it's a miracle that they even created anything in the first place. Like, we should be encouraging people to write stories even if they aren't perfect. Like, sure, maybe if it's a company that employs, like, hundreds of people, like, you should expect their stories to be okay, but, like, a beginner writer should not feel this much pressure. I don't know, I'm like, oh, look at me in a first world country, I'm so rich. I'm not rich, but oh my gosh, look at my problems. You shouldn't make fun of me because I'm trying. Like, I'm not trying to be, like, whiny like that. I'm just frustrated. Because, like, our society has a real problem with ageism that I don't think anybody's really talking about. Like, that's really what it comes down to, and, like, the cringe culture and stuff are just people making fun of children for being children. And I think that kind of extends to young adults. Like, you get out of high school and suddenly you're expected to have your life together and everything for you to do to be perfect. And it's just this unreasonable expectation that really puts a lot of unnecessary pressure on people. So anyways, in conclusion, I don't know where I was going with this. That's the conclusion. No, you don't have to write perfect stories. Motivation comes and goes. If your art is beautiful, don't make fun of it. And trust me, your art is beautiful. Even if you don't see it, one day you'll look back and you'll recognize how much progress you've made. I'll look at my old art. You've seen me in videos, and I, like, try not to criticize it because that art is what made me the artist I am today. And if that art didn't exist, then I wouldn't be able to draw like I can today. And in the future, when I can draw 20 times better, I will be able to look back on these pieces of art and be like, these pieces of art are okay. It's okay that they're not perfect because they led me to be closer to perfect. I'll probably never reach perfection because we're only human, but, like, it's okay to not be perfect. I guess that's the conclusion I'm coming to. It's okay to not be perfect. I hope that made any sense. Oh my gosh, I've been talking for so long. Anyways, enjoy this drawing of, this is Philip, the main character for my book. I know it's super edgy, but you know what? It's a fun story. Stop telling me, don't write edgy stories, don't write, like, honestly, it's a story about, like, a magical orphan with magical powers, but you know what? That's the story I want to write. There's plenty of people that want to read that story. Maybe it's not going to be world changing. Maybe it's not going to start a new genre. But you know what? It's a story that I like. So I'm going to write it, gosh darn it. And I hope maybe one day you'll be able to read it. I guess that's all. So I'll see you in the next video. Bye!